Is Nomos changing the game for Worldtimer watches forever? Usually these types of watches are bulky and expensive, but not this one. It has dimensions of a dress watch and it is still fairly affordable. In today's video, I will do a full hands-on review of this timepiece, point out all the positives and the negatives as I find them. My name is Oleg, and that right there is Mr. Bond. Now, as always, let's talk about the case and the dimensions. This watch features a 40mm diameter. It's about 48mm from one lug to another. The lug opening is 20mm and it's about 9.9mm in case height, including the crystals at the front and at the back. The case is finished in all high polish. There are no satin finishes anywhere on the case, but there are satin finishes on the bracelet. There's a screw down crown at the 3 o'clock position signed with the Nomos logo. There's also a pusher at the 2 o'clock position, that's to jump the Worldtimer complication, and there is a hidden pusher at the 8 o'clock position. You need a tool to operate that pusher, and this pusher jumps the local hour hand forward without engaging the Worldtimer complication, which makes setting the time much easier. The execution of finishes is great, although I do wish that this one featured some satin finishes maybe on top of the lugs to create a little bit more of that visual interest. In the past, Nomos gave you an option of choosing between a solid case back that you can engrave potentially and having a display case back. I always recommend that you go for a display case back because these movements are gorgeous. So why would you do yourself a disservice and hide this movement? And finally, at the front of the watch, there is a flat piece of sapphire crystal with AR coating. And the way this crystal fits into the case itself is really good. You can see the cut edges of the crystal. In my opinion, that's one of the separating factors of a good watch to a great watch. If you can see the way the crystal kind of incorporates itself into the case. In some of the cheaper watches, you can see that cut edge. On this one, it is a seamless integration. As far as the dial variations go, there are quite a few different ones. Most of them are limited editions, except for this blue one and the silver one. Out of these two, I prefer the blue one. I think that looks pretty sharp. Now, right out of the box, I was really surprised with two things on this dial. Number one, the kind of depth they were able to achieve in such a slim profile. For instance, the Worldtimer complication sits on the lower plane as opposed to the main portion of the dial. Then you have painted indexes. However, the way they're painted, they almost look like they're applied. They have some dimension to them, which creates a pretty cool effect. You also have the GMT complication at the 3 o'clock position that's recessed into the case. And you also have a running seconds hand at the 6 o'clock position. That is a bit of a design feature for most of Nomos watches. And this subdial is also recessed, which creates this sort of beautiful depth to the dial. Now, in terms of the dial execution, I think they did a great job. As I said, the printing and the application of indexes is really good. And the hour indexes, as well as the set of hands, are loomed. Here's a loom shot for your reference. The loom is bright and evenly applied, nothing really to complain about. The second part of this dial that really surprised me is the chameleon-like nature of it. In direct sunlight, it kind of looks blue and it has a bit of a sunburst effect, which plays with the light in a very interesting manner. However, if you place this dial in different lighting conditions, it almost looks purple. I'm not sure if I can capture it on camera, but it is very interesting. There is more dimension to this color. However, I do have a small complaint, and this is just a personal preference. I wish that they included another subdial at the 9 o'clock position to sort of balance out the dial's layout. You could include a date complication, which would make a lot of sense on a Worldtimer type watch. And it also would sort of balance out the dial and make it a little bit more symmetrical. By default, the watch comes on the stainless steel bracelet. It's a 2-link design with dual finish. The outer link is finished with a satin finish, the middle link or the center link is finished with a high polish finish, and the outer edges are finished with high polish as well. There is a fold-over clasp signed with Nomos logo, and it is finished with a high polish, which is a bit of a negative because you will collect a lot of scratches on that clasp in no time. Even in the 2 weeks that I got to wear this watch, I already collected a few scratches here and there. On the positive side, this clasp does feature 3 micro adjustments as well as a tool-free adjustment. There are a couple of tabs that you pull together and you select the micro adjustment that works for your size of a wrist. On top of that, there are quick release pins on this bracelet. However, I do have to say that this bracelet is probably the weakest part of the overall package that this watch presents, because first of all, the clasp is a bit rattly. On watches for around $2,500 to $3,500, it is somewhat okay, but on a watch that's almost $5,000, I think the clasp does need an improvement. The other negative for me personally is the resizing system. They're still using the pin and collar system, which requires you to have a little hammer and a block. It's a little annoying and finicky. I do wish that they switched to screw-in pins. That would make a lot of users' lives much simpler. On the positive side, the bracelet is very comfortable on the wrist. Here's a wrist shot on my 7.5 inches wrist. As you can see, the watch fits really well and actually wears slightly larger than you would assume a 40mm watch would wear. First of all, because there is not too much bezel, it's pretty much all dial, which creates this illusion of a larger watch. Secondly, the like-to-like distance is 48mm, which again makes the watch wear larger. On the positive side, it is super slim. I was wearing this watch with a dress shirt that was super tight around the cuff, and I had no problem with it sliding under, which could not be said about a lot of other sports watches with the world time complication and 100 meters of water resistance. Usually you would have to wear a dress watch if you're wearing a dress shirt. For this watch, you could wear it as an everyday piece, which makes it kind of unique in that way. And one of the reasons why this watch is so thin is thanks to the in-house caliber DUW3202, which is fully in-house movement, including the hairspring. Nomos is one of the few watch companies that actually creates their own hairsprings. It's kind of rare in the watch industry. Apparently these movements are also fairly easy to service. I was talking to a few watchmakers about the Nomos that I own, and they said that Nomos is very open about selling you the parts as well as sort of giving you the manuals for servicing, which is good to see. As far as the specs go, this movement features 37 joules. It beats at 3 Hz and it comes with 42 hours of power reserve. On top of that, it is a very beautiful movement. The finishes on it are great. I like the cutouts in the rotor so you can admire the movement even more. There is some striping, there are blued screws, there's pelage work. It looks like a movement that belongs on a watch twice the price of this one. After wearing this watch for about 2 weeks, my excitement did not go away. I am still a huge fan of it. I think what Nomos was able to achieve in such a slim package is seriously impressive. On top of that, you get 100 meters of water resistance, which would make this a perfect travel watch. There are a few improvements that could be made, such as better bracelet, better clasp, and perhaps adding a date complication to the dial. I think all of those, for most part, would be welcomed. As far as the value goes, Nomos once again knocks it out of the park. I think there is so much value for under $5,000. It's kind of difficult to compete. In-house movement, slim dimensions, Worldtimer complication, beautiful design, and you can go on and on. So I personally am really impressed with what Nomos is doing, and I hope to see more great releases like this in the future. I'll try to cover them on this YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. That really helps. And leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about this watch. Do you have any travel time watches in your collection? Are you tempted by this one? Leave your comments below. I always enjoy reading them. Thanks for watching this video all the way until the end, and we'll see you next time. Bye.